But if it looks like a bitch, and it acts like a bitch, and it talks like a bitch, it's a fucking bitch. Bum, leeching, ass, bitch, ass. I won't say the N-word. Son of a bitch. He didn't give a fuck that much because he was online like in the comments. How does weight remove your hunchback? I didn't give not one fuck. Apparently he's a con man and he owes several people money. It just lands you on the first flight to hell.
Let them know that everything big. Nail done, hair done, everything big. And my NY.
So hi guys, it's Precious Bria. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be giving our final review on Love is Blind season 7, the reunion. I just want to say really quickly, I feel that this season, I thought it was really good. I have to be honest with you. I thought it was a really good season. I think that they are strategically choosing the people that they choose, not because they're trying to find people for love. I think they are trying to give us a good show. And so going forward, I'm going to lead with that in mind. Do I think that they actually want to put these people together and have them run off into the sunset? No. I think that they're trying to find juicy storylines to keep the show relevant, and they've done an amazing job. So let's start with, do we want to start with the tea? Let's start with some tea. We're not going to get into it too much. We'll start with Hannah and Nick. We know that they were kind of like all over the place. I don't know. I didn't go in order, so don't expect for this to be in the order that the show went in. I'm just going to talk about who I want to talk about when I want to talk about. I also wanted to note that it felt like they wanted one of the girls. I can't think, the girl last season with the baby. Maybe I'll put a picture of her somewhere. Her to be the breakout star. And what is her name? Katie? AD ended up being the breakout star. I thought it was very interesting that they were asking her all of her business. Do you care? I didn't care. I didn't give not one fuck. I was like, whatever. They also had some other people from previous seasons. Didn't really care about what was going on with them. Let's start with Hannah and Nick. In the beginning of the season, I was like, I'd never really liked Hannah. When she got matched up with Nick and they got outside of the pods, I was like, okay, she is definitely a bitch. She's a monster. Nick, run. Towards the end of the season, we find out that Nick is a fraud, that he was putting on a facade for the television, that he wanted to be betrayed a certain way, and so he was acting a certain way. And the truth is, he didn't like Hannah, and he was different off camera. He was also saying things off camera like, I'm not attracted to her. He rated her 5. You know what? I felt like a 5 is like, okay. Maybe a 7 is, where do you guys, beauty is so subjective. The truth is, Hannah lost some weight. She looks so much better. I mean, how does weight remove your hunchback? How does weight remove your hunchback? But it did. And she looks so much better. I am a thick girl. I don't mind girls being thick, but she looked like a linebacker. It's the way her body was shaped. And so her losing that weight really, like, she's a cute girl. She is a cute girl. And I would not have said that before. I don't know. It's interesting how your body, like different people's bodies carry weight. I'm happy that people came out and they were being honest about how he was off screen. I didn't expect for Rams specifically to be like, well, you know, we all make mistakes and, you know, just own it. I was like, okay, Rams, growth. I didn't really feel like he was a liar from the beginning, but it also gives he was acting a certain way on camera too. So I don't know. We don't know these people. Nick did try to say that he felt that Hannah was getting too much hate online. He didn't give a fuck that much because he was online like in the comments. I seen a clip of him on TMZ, and Nick wanted to be a star. Hannah also found some notes that he wrote down. He said these are like 90-day goals, and his notes were to be famous after Love is Blind. So that was his intent. And towards the end of the show, even before we saw the reunion, and up until the point where they were where Hannah finally was like, we're gonna call it quits, I was like, okay, I see. She wanted to be on TV. I feel he wanted to be on TV, and that's why they stretched it for as long as they could. Little do you know, when you go on these reality television shows, very few people are relevant even 6 months later. Relevant from the air date of the reunion. Like, you go on a little fake press tour, you get to do some podcasts. I want to be very clear. You get to do some podcasts. You may get a brand deal or two if you're lit enough. You're going to be irrelevant. Like, your life does not change overnight because you go on these dating shows. So it's interesting when people have these certain motives to going on these shows, because nobody gets like famous off of these shows. I'm surprised that she did grow a little bit of a following. She might have had a following prior to, because she was a professional cheerleader. But a lot of them are not, like, most of them are irrelevant. I know the first couple, I can't think of her name, Lauren and her husband, the white and the black couple, they are the only people that were able to sustain some relevance. A few of the other girls, like, they have podcasts. I watched another podcast. It was no comment. But a lot of they're irrelevant. You fall in the background. They try to continue to attach themselves to Love is Blind. I mean, rightfully so. But you're not going to get famous over this. So what the fuck were you doing? Anyway, I am now at the point where I agree with everything that Hannah said. I do also agree, because two things can be true at once, that her delivery was wrong. So everything she said was right. She did not turn him from a boy to a man. I don't know why the fuck she said that. That was stupid as hell. But I agree with everything that she said. I do. I agree that he is immature at this age. He should be more financially literate at this age. There should be certain things that he was able to do around the house that she shouldn't have to tell him. But, talking down to him, belittling him, trying to insinuate that she's smarter than him. I don't think she's that much smarter than him. You are independent. Good for you. So are a lot of other people. Like, bitch, shut up. It was still nasty. I still don't like her. I think she looks nice. Still don't like her. Still think she's a bitch. I think that's her actual personality. I don't think that... This may have made it seem more exaggerated because this experience is so, like, intense, and I get that. But I think in real life, she is a bitch. It showed when, Nick had that moment with his brother. It shows when she was interacting with her family. It shows when she was even with her friends. They're a group of bitches. Let's move on. I don't like either one of them. Honestly, I don't. We can move on to Marissa and Rams. On my initial thoughts on their breakup, I wanted to be compassionate. I wanted to be mindful that Marissa seems to be an emotional person, and she feels that she really loves him, and so it's okay for her to be emotional in that moment. And I saw someone else's review, and they were like, yeah, like, I get it, but... And that's how I feel. Like, I get it, but, bitch, stand up. Like, Rams, really? I mean, granted, when you're having sex with somebody, you get emotionally attached to them and blah, 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 blah. All of the stupid bullshit, right? Girl, act like you got some, like, say it with your chest, like, what the fuck are you doing? That shit just really irked me. I hate to see, and there's nothing wrong with being emotional. I have slowly become somewhat of a crybaby. I cry often, right? And I think that crying is healthy. But the crying on the floor, and then she called her mom, and then she's still on the stage tearing up. It's been a year, girl. Let it go. What are you doing? and then you wanted to be with him, and you're like, are you sure? I was just, the whole thing is just like very cringy to me. It's giving, he was being fake the whole time. He clearly had doubts. She said he had doubts. So, I mean, if somebody says they have doubts and then they call out the wedding, I mean, how blindsided could you have possibly been? You tell me. He's like, oh, I came on the show for the right reasons. He didn't come on the show for the right fucking reasons. He's like, oh, I don't want to be with you basically because this is just too much for me. You're too much for me. She's not too much for you. She's not too much. I mean, okay, I can't determine what's too much for somebody else. So let me stop. But I just felt like he was looking for her out. He found her out. And he came on the show for kicks and giggles. You wasn't ready. You was not ready to come on the show. And so I ask again, why are you here? Why? Why waste somebody's time like that? And honestly, this show just plays on women's desperation to get married. I don't want to get into it because I'm just like where I'm at in life, and you know, girls, you're going to put yourself, being so desperate to get married and to be with a man, you're going to put yourself in a situation where you're miserable. Society has put this idea in your head that you need to be with a man. And Marissa, Ashley, who's the other one? Who else? Taylor, Monica, Alexandra. They will tear you down every single time. How? I'll give you examples for everybody. Let's start with Alexandra. Tim is a miserable fuck. Tim is a miserable fuck. And he would have tortured Alex every single fucking day. Moving on. Monica. Now, I do think Monica is a monster. But Stefan, he would have made her feel inadequate with the sexual thing. But in the other ways, he was pretty. He was nice. He waited on her hand and foot. But he would have got over that real quick. And he would have cheated. He would have cheated. That's the point. He would have cheated. Taylor. I know that both of them wants to be with their families, but it's very ironic how she was so adamant from the beginning. I want to move to San Francisco. I want to move to San Francisco. I want to move to San Francisco. Where the fuck they at? In D.C. Let's see how long that lasts. Ashley, do we got to say it? Surprise, 3 kids. Surprise. We'll get into that. Oh, they my kids, but they not my kids, but they my kids, but they not my kids. Okay. And who else did I say? Oh, and Marissa and Rams. Rams is giving bum. In the beginning, I was like, oh, it's cute. He wants to stay home with the kids. No. He's lazy. He didn't bring anything to their relationship at all. Like, literally, she was doing everything. He made her pasta one time. I hope that he cooked for her more than once. And the pasta noodles was hard. You didn't make sure the pasta noodles were cooked thoroughly? I mean, okay. Don't get sucked up in that. If you find an amazing man, because I do believe that there are amazing men out there, girl, you lucked up, lock him down, clink, clink, do what you need to do to give to your relationship and to receive from your relationship and pour into it and grow and build together. Amazing. But if you got a bum, leeching ass, bitch ass, I won't say the N-word, son of a bitch, oops, leave him. Leave him. What are you holding on to that for? And so, yeah, Marissa's on the stage and she's still pretty broken up about the breakup. And she said that it was really hard for her. And she does agree that Rams was forthcoming with his concerns, although he was still moving forward with trying to plan the wedding. And so she still felt blindsided. Rams said that it was difficult for him to watch the show because he didn't realize everything that happened after he left. I guess he didn't realize how emotional she truly was about the situation. And so that was just really, 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 that was so hard for him. it was a very difficult time for him. He said he felt exhausted while being with her, and that if he would have been with her any longer, that he would have been overwhelmed. Now, I think that's a really mean thing to say. What I will say is I'm glad that at least he was honest about it. I mean, I'd rather you be honest about it in the relationship here than be with somebody and y'all are both just miserable. And she gives the type of woman that's going to stay through a lot. Especially when you put marriage in the mix, I feel like women can become blindly loyal. And yes, the goal of marriage is to be married. At the same time, like, if you need to let it go, if that's what's best for you, then, you know, let that shit go. To be fair, I've never been married. So he brought up the contraceptive conversation, stating that the conversation was a lot longer than we saw on TV, obviously, and that he was understanding that they spoke about different routes to her being on contraceptives. And yeah, I just feel like it's still really selfish of him to put it on her. Women's bodies, I said this before, I'll say it again, we go through so much that men could not even imagine on a day-to-day, on a monthly basis. And I mean, the simple option is to wear a condom. You'll be okay. Like, it's not that deep. It's not that serious. And it just showed, again, how selfish he is, because he, you know, kind of, sort of, in my opinion, he doubled down. And he wanted us to know that he was not being bratty. He was not. So don't put that on him. He's not a sassy man with his removed 2 dreadlocks. He is not sassy. And we can quickly speak about Brittany and Leo. I mean, super irrelevant. They said that he got a bad edit, that he wasn't talking about money as much as they made it seem like he spoke about money. I believe that. I feel like they edited you the way they wanted to be, and the fact that they're even still like speaking about it so much lets me know that that's how they wanted him to be portrayed. And either way, I mean, at this point, he's really very irrelevant. Brittany speaks about how, you know, she was attracted to him and they did have a good time. They just weren't right for each other. And then they weren't chosen to go on the honeymoon. That's another thing that I wanted to point out. So, I mean, even though she did bring up Miami, it felt like she had doubts anyway. And so maybe that's why they didn't choose them. But they weren't chosen to go to the honeymoon regardless. I feel like essentially they would have broken up. She's trying to make it seem like she was leaning into him for comfort. She was not. She wasn't attracted to him. You could tell by her body language. You could tell by the fact that they went to Miami and they broke up in Miami. Miami is also a place that's known for tearing relationships apart. Now we can quickly go into Monica and Stefan. So I don't really have too much to say about them. I think that it's good that they broke up. I think how they broke up, honestly, I felt like it was purposefully done by Stefan because he was tired of Monica. I think that Monica is way too intense. I think that the lifestyle that she lives does not align with the lifestyle that he lives, and that was going to be a big clash. She seems to be a very bougie type of lady, and I don't mean bougie in a bad way. Just like, you know, she likes nice things, she likes to go nice places, and he seems like, you know, a homely type of person, meaning, you know, he likes to stay at home, maybe, you know, do some outdoorsy types of things that are not luxurious at all. And I don't know, it's just given they live different lifestyles, if you get what I'm saying. And, you know, she speaks about how even though they spoke about him cheating in the past, she appreciated the fact that he was honest about it. And because he was so honest and so apologetic about the situation and so hard on him, that she felt he would never do it again. I also want to be clear that this was simply text messages. The way that he described the text messages were that they were speaking about something else. The woman said something about fetishes in the text messages, and I guess they both shared their fetishes, and those were the messages that she read. She was also upset because the messages went back some years, but allegedly this is a friend of Stefan's. Do I believe that? No. I mean, regardless, emotional cheating is cheating. Do I think he would have cheated eventually? Yes. I think if he had these weird, or not weird, but odd, or maybe different, or maybe more intense kinks that he likes, and she couldn't fulfill them. I mean, at some point, he would do what needs to be done for them to be fulfilled, because that's the type of shit that men do. And so they can't see eye to eye, and that's okay. I mean, he apologized. He doesn't really know how to move forward. She thinks that his intention on coming on the show was to, again, get famous. We just spoke about how you're not going to get famous off of the show, so I don't know what people are trying to do. And yeah, moving on. They don't never need to talk again. It wasn't going to work, so who cares? And now we can go to Alexandra and Tim. Now, when it comes to Alexandra and Tim, I think that Tim is a monster. And whatever edit they gave Tim, they made him seem like this huge saint, and he is, in fact, a monster. And a bully. He's a bully. The reason I think that he's a bully is because I think he's the type of person that does things to antagonize you and then goes, why are you acting like this? Why are you doing this? Why would you do... And it's like, grow up. Grow up. Be mature. If you feel some type of way about something, say it. If you are not feeling it, say it. It's just like, it's too much. And even though this is a part of the experiment, like meeting your family and stuff, I understand Alex's concerns of, you just, like, you met my dad right after you, allegedly, right after they sat down with her family, Tim expressed concerns. And so for me, at that point, I would have kind of been done. I get that maybe that day is what got him to that situation, but at that point, me personally, I wouldn't have wanted to move forward because it would be nothing to discuss at that point. I think people should take their concerns, like when people say I have concerns in a relationship, you should take that very serious. So Alex let us know that 2 days before they went into the pods, her dad went into rehab. The rehab is to help him with his movement so that, he can get around, mobility, etc., etc. In the process of, him going through this experience, she's going through a lot. She's now in the pods. So she got emotional and she was just kind of like, I needed some space. And so she said that to Tim. He didn't like that, the same way he didn't like that she took a nap. And so this is what initiated the argument. Now, the hand over the mouth movement, again, allegedly she did not touch him, but she was just kind of like, that was so that he would stop yelling. But he was yelling at her, and she didn't want the producers to hear because she didn't want him to be seen in that type of way. According to her, she was trying to protect him. That did not work. Tim was so worked up that the producers had to come into the room and to calm him down. Allegedly, he has never, ever spoken to anyone like this ever again. He's never done this. This is out of character for Tim. He's never done this before. Clap if you believe his lying bitch ass. Oh, okay. No, he's very aggressive. He's very argumentative. He does initiate, or he does antagonize people and then try to hold his hand. That's his personality. We see it now. We see it now. And he's definitely had these types of situations in other relationships. Either he did or he didn't, because those women were so far from removed from that energy that they wouldn't give him anything to even ignite him. But anybody that has any sort of backbone, yeah, he's done this before. This is not his first time. The only difference is now if you act a fool, we get to see it on television. That was the difference. That was when you act a fool, that the producers will hear you. That was the difference. As I said before, Tim is a fucking monster. Okay. Oh, and what made him so upset and the reason he's so offended is because she called him a bitch. But if it looks like a bitch and it acts like a bitch and it talks like a bitch, It's a fucking bitch. Oh well. And so then we move on to the situation where Tim is basically upset because she takes a nap. She explains that she had been with his family for 5 or 6 hours. They had been talking the entire time, and that she had to bartend later that night. And in between her spending the day with them and having to go and bartend later on that night till 2 a.m. in the morning, she wanted to take a nap. Even before she explained that, once I found out that she had been with them the entire day, that she allegedly explained to them that she was going to be taking a nap and they were okay with it, it let me know that Tim was just picking at straws at that point. He just wanted to pick anything because he wanted an out. He wanted an out. And in my opinion, ever since that argument in Mexico, he was over it. The difference between, I believe, the other times that I don't know about, but I'm sure that he's had plenty of arguments with other women that were very intense. The difference between those arguments and this argument is that she called him a bitch. And he didn't like that because he felt like that was belittling to him and it was emasculating. That's what it was. And so he was done, and he was going to choose anything. And he chose a nap. He chose her taking a nap to end their engagement. Thank God for her, because she would have been miserable. This man would have tortured her to no end. So, Alex, you lucked up. You're welcome, girl. You're welcome. Be thankful to him that he broke it off, because you're welcome. You trying to work it out with this monster, you don't even know. He would have, it would have been nasty. It would have been very, very nasty. There's nothing else to be said. She dodged a bullet. Fuck him. And so now we're going to move on to Tyler and Ashley. So they've been married for a year at this point. Everything seems to be going great. We're going to fast forward to when they decided to share this information on camera. Allegedly, he told her off camera about the whole situation with the kids, and he was honest and forthcoming about everything. So she knew everything. She is the one that suggested that at least we mention something on camera, because if we don't mention anything on camera and then the world finds out, then it's going to be like super weird and it feels like you lied about the whole situation. So they speak about it on camera. And she asks, do the kids know what you look like? And he's like, no. But apparently that was like a nervous thing for him. It wasn't, he didn't mean to say that. He didn't know what to say. You say that your kids know you because they do know you. And so this was her idea. He then jumps in and he says that this is his private life and he didn't really want to put it out there, and he did it because, I guess she wanted him to do it, so that's why he did it. And that he's a good guy. So he starts to fake cry. He shares that the reason he's in pictures is because he helped out this lesbian couple, and those were his friends. And he spent holidays with his friends. He spent holidays with all of his friends that have kids. So you can see pictures with all of the kids, all of his friends' kids on holidays, because he always spends holidays with his friends and their kids. And I'm assuming they all do like matching pajamas and stuff like that. I guess that's the vibe. He then begins to speak about how Ashley is the first person that has shown him unconditional love, and he didn't know what that felt like until them. And so he's just like, this is like amazing. He has the perfect situation right now. I think that they sat down and they created this response of his together. I think that with everything that has come out, clearly this is not the truth. This is someone's version, allegedly, of the truth, but this is not the truth of what's going on. It's 100% more to the story. It's so much more to the story. And it's sad that he couldn't, in some way, shape, or form, validate the children. Not only will they feel abandoned, but they're going to feel betrayed, because it's like, okay, you abandoned us, but now you're going to sit here and you're going to lie and you're going to gaslight our mom, you're going to gaslight us and make it seem like it's something that it wasn't. And according to some bloggers, he's actually going to have to go to court because he's supposed to be paying child support and he's supposed to be there for the kids. And he has not. And so I'm sure that there will be some type of update on that situation. I may come back and I may speak about that as well, just because why not? I think this story is heartbreaking, and so I never really like to dwell on it for too long because I just feel bad for the kids, and I can only imagine like how they will feel in the situation or how they feel now. Kids start asking about an absent parent earlier than I think people realize. It's very important that both parents are in their children's lives, and the least that he can do, even if he doesn't have the money to help them, is be there for them. Be at their soccer games, take them to school, pick them up from school, whatever you can do, take them to the park. All of that type of stuff is very important. And it's just sad that he's just washed his hands with them. And I'm just very disappointed in Ashley. It's the truth that she knows everything that's going on. To stand by a man that's actively being a deadbeat is diabolical, and it just lands you on the first flight to hell. As a woman, you should never want a man that's not there for their kids. You should never want a man that's not there for their kids. And be very clear, the way that he treats his other kids is the way that he would treat your kids. Very rarely does a man have a set of kids over here and then a set of kids over here, and then he treats them badly and then treats them good. Very rarely. Does it happen? I've heard of it happening, of men creating new families and forgetting their old family, and then they're a brand new dad. Most of the time, if you're a shitty dad, you're a shitty dad, period. But she is standing with her man. She's standing with her man. She defending him. She held his hand and smiled the whole time and wiped his tears when he cried. And apparently he's a thief. He's owed several people. Well, I shouldn't say a thief. He's a con man. Apparently he's a con man, and he owes several people money. And so I just hope that this whole situation doesn't end in her like getting scammed or something. And if she has any assets, if she has anything that isn't a liability, I hope that there was some type of either prenup or postnup where it can protect all of her things. I hate this for her. It's so nasty. And, you know, Tyler, take care of your fucking kids. Seriously. This is not okay. This is not okay. The least you could do is fine if you don't want to be there for them. The least you could do is send them some damn money. Anyway, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share. And I hope to see you guys in another video.